The moment I stepped into the courtroom, I realized my aunt had already won. My name is Isabella Bella Hayes. I was 20 years old, standing in the small county courthouse of Columbus, Ohio, wearing a simple black dress, my hands clutching the strap of my bag. My father had passed away 3 weeks earlier, and now the person I trusted most in the family was about to take everything from me. My father, Thomas Hayes, had raised me alone after my mother died when I was 10. He was a man of simple tastes, hardworking, always telling me, "Bella, one day this house will be yours. It's more than wood and bricks. It's our memories." That house had warmth in every corner. The kitchen smelled like fresh bread on Sundays. The backyard had a small garden where my father and I planted marigolds every spring. It wasn't luxury, it was love. And my aunt, Vanessa Grant, Thomas's younger sister, was about to take it all away. She sat confidently across the room in the courtroom, wearing a cream blazer, expensive shoes, and a smug smile that made my stomach churn. She didn't seem nervous, guilty, or sad. She looked victorious. The judge read through the documents. I tried to follow, but the legal jargon blurred together. When the hearing ended, Vanessa stood, brushing imaginary dust off her blazer, and walked past me. She leaned down, smiling, and whispered, "I'll handle everything now, Bella. Don't worry." I felt my hands go numb. She wasn't speaking to comfort me. She was warning me. Outside, she offered me a ride. I had no money for a taxi, so I got in silently. The drive was quiet, except for the hum of the car engine and the storm growing inside me. When we arrived at my house, Vanessa turned to me with that same calm, unnerving smile. "You'll need to move out by the end of the month," she said. "I'm putting this house on the market." I swallowed hard. "This was my father's home," I whispered. "Legally," she said lightly, "it's mine now. Paperwork is final. Life happens, Bella." That night, I sat on the bed in my childhood room, holding my father's old jacket, smelling the faint scent of his cologne. I cried into it, realizing that I had been pushed out of the only place that ever felt safe. Vanessa sent movers to inspect the house 10 days later. She gave instructions while strangers carried out furniture filled with my memories. Birthday gifts, old trophies, childhood drawings. She didn't flinch. She didn't apologize. When I finally asked where I was supposed to go, she shrugged. "You're an adult now. Figure it out." I left with 2 suitcases and a backpack, moving into a tiny apartment downtown. It was cramped, the walls were cracked, the bed was thin, but it was mine. I worked 2 jobs, mornings at a cafe, nights at a bookstore. I attended classes during the day. Some nights I went to sleep hungry. Some nights I cried silently into my pillow. But deep inside me, determination grew. One evening, while unpacking my belongings, I found an envelope tucked in the lining of my father's old briefcase. I had forgotten it in the chaos of his passing. Inside was a handwritten letter. "Bella, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. I trust you more than anyone in the world. I left something important for you, hidden where we planted marigolds every spring. Do not tell anyone, especially Vanessa. One day, you'll understand. Marigolds. Backyard. Something hidden. For the first time since losing everything, hope flickered in my chest. This was more than a letter. It was a mission, a spark, and it was the beginning of my comeback. The morning after I found my father's letter, I could hardly sleep. My mind raced with possibilities. What exactly did he hide in the backyard? Why would Vanessa never suspect it? And most importantly, could this be my ticket to reclaiming what was mine? I waited until early afternoon, when Vanessa would be at her office, and I borrowed the keys she had reluctantly handed me when I first moved in temporarily to collect my things. The house smelled like stale dust and polished wood, but it was still home. Walking through the rooms brought back memories I had tried to bury. The sound of my father laughing in the kitchen, the smell of his coffee brewing, the quiet comfort of knowing I belonged here once. I didn't allow myself to linger. I went straight to the backyard where my father had always planted marigolds along the fence. Kneeling in the damp soil, I felt around carefully, my fingers brushing over uneven spots beneath the flower bed. The sun was warm on my back, but I felt a chill of anticipation. And then I found it. A small metal box, rusty with age, hidden under the roots of the oldest marigold plant. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I dug it out, wiped the dirt off, and pried open the lid. Inside was a stack of papers, envelopes, and a small leather-bound journal. My father's handwriting covered the first envelope. Bella, this is everything. Money, property documents, letters to trusted people who can help you if needed. Vanessa cannot touch this. She will never see it coming. Tears welled in my eyes. My father had thought of everything. Even in death, he had been protecting me. I carefully read the papers. There were deeds to the house, documents proving additional properties my father had quietly bought over the years, and letters detailing bank accounts set aside for me. In one envelope, a letter from a lawyer confirmed that these assets were under a trust in my name, untouchable by anyone, including Vanessa. I felt a surge of power. The person who had laughed in court, confident she had taken everything, didn't know the storm about to hit her. But I knew I couldn't rush. Vanessa was clever and dangerous. She might notice if I suddenly tried to claim everything. I needed a plan, a careful, strategic approach. Over the next week, I observed her routines from afar. I learned when she left for work, when she hosted social events, and when she relaxed at home. I started to gather proof of my ownership quietly, taking photos of the documents, making digital copies, and contacting the lawyer my father had trusted. Then I tested the waters. I called a real estate agent under a pseudonym, asking about the properties Vanessa claimed. I learned how vulnerable her plans truly were. She had sold one property without realizing it wasn't entirely hers. Another was held up by paperwork she didn't fully understand. The trust my father had created was airtight, only if I acted wisely. One evening, I sat in my apartment, surrounded by my findings. The entire city stretched before me through the window. I thought about my father's words from the letter. One day, you'll understand. I understood now. The anger, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, they had all led me here, and I was ready, not just to reclaim my inheritance, but to make sure Vanessa never underestimated me again. The plan was simple but risky. I would first secure the assets legally, ensuring the trust documents were filed correctly. Then I would confront Vanessa, not with yelling, not with threats, but with undeniable proof that she had taken what wasn't hers. The law would back me up. I would let justice do what anger alone never could. Over the next month, I moved carefully. Each step was calculated. Every phone call, every email, every signature was deliberate. I didn't let anyone see me falter, even when exhaustion and fear crept in. I reminded myself daily, Vanessa robbed me once, but she couldn't rob me of my mind, my determination, or my rightful inheritance. Finally, the day came. The lawyer confirmed that everything was now secure in my name. Vanessa could no longer sell or claim any property. The accounts, the deeds, even the smallest assets, untouchable. My father had not only left me wealth, he had left me the tools to reclaim it without firing a single shot. I felt a wave of satisfaction, but I didn't celebrate. Not yet. The final act was still to come. Vanessa had to face the consequences. She had to see the little girl she underestimated, now a strong, smart, unstoppable woman, claim what was rightfully hers. That evening, I called her, asking her to meet me at the house, the one she had taken, the one she thought belonged to her. She laughed when I said it, confident and smug. She had no idea. When she arrived, I was waiting, calm, confident, holding a folder with every document, every proof, every legal safeguard. The woman who had laughed at me, pushed me out, and tried to steal my future would now see exactly how wrong she had been. And when her look on her face finally changed from smugness to shock, I realized that my father had been right. Justice doesn't need anger, it only needs patience, planning, and the truth. This was my comeback, and Vanessa wouldn't see the end coming. The day Vanessa walked into the house, she carried her usual confident smile. She didn't know it, but the tables had turned completely. I stood in the living room, dressed simply but with an air of calm power, holding a thick folder of documents. Every paper inside proved what she had tried to steal was mine, legally, irrevocably, undeniably. Vanessa glanced around the room, unaware of the folders on the coffee table. "So, Bella," she said smoothly, "I hear you've moved back in. That's surprising." I smiled faintly. not a mocking smile, but one filled with patience and control. You know, it is surprising, because this is my house. Her eyebrows rose. Excuse me? I set the folder down and opened it, flipping through pages carefully. I didn't need to show everything, just enough to make the point. Property deeds, bank accounts, legal documents, a letter from the lawyer who handled my father's estate. This, I said, tapping the folder, everything Vanessa tried to claim belongs to me. You had no right to sell, no right to take, no right to lie in court. My father's trust is ironclad. Everything he left is under my name. Legally, I control it all. Vanessa's smile faltered. She laughed nervously. Bella, surely you don't mean... I do, I interrupted, and it's too late for excuses. You underestimated me. You thought I was powerless, that I would cry and accept what you stole, but I planned carefully, just like my father wanted. And now, I paused, letting my words sink in. You can't touch a thing. Her face changed from surprise to panic. This can't be. I won the court case. You won nothing, I said, holding my gaze. You only thought you did. And now, after months of planning and protecting what was mine, I'm in control, and there's nothing you can do. She backed away, clutching her handbag like a lifeline. I realized for the first time she was genuinely afraid, not just surprised, afraid, of a niece she had underestimated, a woman she had tried to crush. You can't do this, she said, her voice shaking. I leaned forward, calm and steady. I already have. For a moment we stood in silence. The weight of 13 years of betrayal, grief, and stolen childhood hovered over the room. Every memory of being pushed aside, every sleepless night, every moment of struggle, they all funneled into this moment, and for the first time I felt complete, whole, victorious. Vanessa finally turned and stormed out, muttering curses under her breath. I watched her go, knowing that my father's legacy, my inheritance, and my dignity were fully restored. She had no power here anymore. Later that night, I sat in the backyard where I had found the hidden trust. The marigolds my father planted still bloomed in soft colors, a quiet reminder of the love he had given me and the strength he had instilled in me. I thought about everything I had endured, betrayal, loss, loneliness, and fear. But I survived. Not just survived, I thrived. I had taken control of my life, reclaimed what was mine, and faced the person who had tried to destroy me. And I did it not with anger or violence, but with patience, planning, and intelligence. The next weeks were different. I reorganized the house, opened accounts in my name, and slowly started to feel at home again. I even invited close friends over, sharing stories of resilience and determination. I realized something important. Revenge alone is empty. Justice paired with growth, however, is unstoppable. Months later, I received a letter from Vanessa. She apologized, cautious, weak, timid. I read it once, then placed it in a drawer. I didn't need closure from her. I had my own closure. I thought of my father's words, "One day you'll understand." Now I did. Life isn't about waiting for the people who betray you to come around. Life is about building yourself stronger than they ever imagined, reclaiming your power, and creating a future where no one can rob you of your dignity or your dreams. I had been betrayed by someone I trusted, left to fight alone, but in the end, I had won, not just the inheritance, but my strength, my confidence, and my life. And as I stood in the garden that evening, the sun setting behind the marigolds, I whispered softly to myself, "This is my life now, my victory, my legacy, and no one will ever take it from me again."